Started. Welcome to the Spokane Sangha and Recovery Dharma. My name is Julia. I'm one of the facilitators here in our Wednesday practice. I want to let everyone know that on Wednesdays we do things a little bit differently. Wednesdays are Zen's days, and so we have for years now been exploring the work of various Zen masters. We've studied Suzuki Roshi. We've studied Roshi Joan Halifax, Thich Nhat Hanh, and lately we've departed specifically away from the Zen practice to study a more ancient teacher, Shantideva, who was an 8th century monk and who was instrumental in formulating a very well-known work called The Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life. And we've been reading from it. It almost reads like the Bhagavad Gita, which is like a really, really long poem. So there's all kinds of verses that we've been exploring and studying. We're in the 5th chapter, which is called Guarding Alertness. And I'm going to read some of those verses for us today as part of our contemplative practice. Before we launch into all that, I want to bring you into Soul Center. Soul Center is a sanctuary. It's a place where we explore mindfulness and spiritual well-being. It's a place where people come and gather in person. We have before us an altar, and Mark has put something on the altar. Mark, is that a painting that you did? Would you show it to us? That is so exciting. Oh my gosh. Wow. Is that watercolor, Mark?
Yes.
Let me get the microphone to you. Would you like to tell us a little bit about it?
So I drew this around 2011. I was in prison. I was lost. I didn't know who I was, and this is how I was kind of expressing myself.
And it has a lot of Native American themes. Is that related to your culture and your heritage?
Yes, but it's kind of bent in a different way. But yes,
Wow. So I see an eagle in the corner,
yes.
and it reminds me of the sun. Do you want to say anything about the images at all?
It was just piece by pieces that I did it. I was working on multiple pieces of art at the same time, and it's just where I was at.
Wow. And are you offering this to Soul Center?
Yes.
On behalf of Soul Center, thank you so much for this beautiful, beautiful offering. It lands in my mind as a piece of heart, your heart, that is now our heart.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Mark. It's beautiful. I will not cut that up and turn it into instruments of peace, which I normally do for artwork. I normally chop art up to sentiments of metta. This one I will not. It will be framed and hung. So thank you, Mark. Thank you so much for blessing this space with you and with your talent. Friends, we're going to go around the room and we're going to introduce ourselves so you can see everyone who's here today. And we'll begin with the goddess behind all the bells and whistles. And remember, friends, there's no need to say anything other than your name, and even that's optional. If you'd prefer to be here a little bit more anonymously, you can just pass the microphone when it comes to you. We use a mic that way. Excuse me. That way, our friends online can hear us.
Hi, I'm Lo.
Hi, I'm Mark.
I'm Kari.
Hello, I'm Kevin.
Nancy.
Hi, my name's Linda.
My name's Tessa.
Hi, I'm Kelly.
Hello,
sitting down right next to you.
So many wonderful friends. I just want to say a quick hello to all of our other friends who are here. Tracy and Ryan. Skylar's here. Ren has shown up. We've got a friend here as iPhone user. That might be Tyler. Tyler
Is that Tyler
or Nick.
You see it?
Yeah, Nick, that looks like you. Nick D, is that you? Yeah, we're going to change your name. All right, Nick, good to see you, my friend. Joni is here. Ellie is here, and Katie, Phil D, and Sean are here as well. And we have a friend named Stephanie who's going to be popping in too. So welcome, welcome, one and all. What a privilege to be able to be here today. I'd like to begin our practice with a sentiment of loving kindness, metta. And this is just a wonderful way of arriving to this practice and giving our mind something to hold on to loosely and lightly to keep our minds focused and concentrated. Sometimes the mind has a propensity to perseverate on what happened in the morning or to be worried about what might happen later on. And if we have an intention, a sentiment of metta, it helps concentrate the mind on the here and now. This is a beautiful painting that was painted by our wonderful Sangha member, Michelle, who is here today calling in from Florida. This one reads, "May you go to the edge of your comfort and be still a moment." May you go to the edge of your comfort and be still a moment. And you may have a voice in your head that's like, no, no, why would I do that? I don't want to be uncomfortable. That's terrible. And I can assure you, friends, that we can do hard things. And we can go to varying edges of our comfort and discomfort, and we can be still. We really can. And so even with that sentiment of metta, if that stirred up some discomfort, let's just let that be as it is, and let's drop into the stillness of the body together as a community. And as a community, we will create some energy together. We're practicing together. We're all here for the same reason, which is to awaken to the conditions that cause us misery and confusion. We're all here motivated to learn new ways to live our lives. And that has an energetic load. That has a karmic seed of goodness that in this moment we can nurture and ripen together. And then we can all sample from the banquet of goodness that we've created. See? Coming to the edge of discomfort doesn't have to be so bad. There's a banquet of goodness awaiting. Turn your gaze inward, friends, and come into the body. And take a deep breath, breathing in and breathing out. Come into the awareness of how your body wants to breathe. Breathe in again. Inhale. Bring your full concentration to it. And then exhale, bringing your full concentration to that. Just letting something go. Whatever it is, it doesn't even have to be tangible. Breathing in the freshness and the vitality of this moment. Breathing out the staleness and stagnancy of repetitive habit energy, including the way our minds overthink, perseverate, obsess. Breathing in all this space. Breathing out for the mind to float around and for the thoughts to dissipate. Allow your body permission to rest. So if you'd like to enjoy your practice today lying down, please do. I would also encourage you out there on the internets, if you are in a body right now that needs to move, please do. Turn your camera off and make some lunch or clean your junk drawer or fold your laundry, whatever it is you need to do. Prune your pear trees, harvest your plums. That's what I need to do when I get home today. And just enjoy the presence of this practice in the background of your mind. If, on the other hand, you can allow the body a more noble posture, an active posture, where you're sitting and you're upright, allow a little bit of alertness to descend. This chapter in the Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life is called Guarding Alertness. And this is Shantideva's encouragement for how to watch the mind. And we're not watching the mind like a judge and jury, ready to scold ourselves. We're simply observing the mind. Think of yourself like a spiritual anthropologist, and you're taking notes, and you're not interfering. You're simply observing, watching the mind. And by doing so, Shantideva reminds us that a natural curiosity starts to descend. So if the mind is behaving in a wild way, where it's swirling like a whirling dervish or a Tasmanian devil of thought, and negativity and judgment and frustration and anger and qualities that create a lot of agitation and irritability and hostility. To observe that mind is to also observe how that mind manifests in behaviors. Sometimes those behaviors are very reactionary and they can be violent. We can be really aggressive in our driving. We can talk to people and have fists in our hands as if we are ready to throw a punch or defend ourselves. We can also react to a highly agitated mind by seeking soothing and numbing through all manner of external distraction. The computer is a great one. Television, shopping, food, drugs, sex. We all know this negative habit energy, so much of it motivated to soothe and numb the agitation, the irritation, the confusion in the mind. And the hard part is when one is engaged in that kind of reaction to a wild mind, it actually works. It's effective. We, for a while, can feel soothed and at ease until we don't. And then that kind of action becomes a negative source, something that actually feeds the wildness, the confusion in the mind. So Shantideva reminds us that this is all so very human. And so the practice is to come into a sense of stillness and to begin to observe the discomfort of the mind. Come to the edge, as close to the edge as you dare to go. You might be afraid. And if you are, honor the fear and take a step back away from the edge and see what you see in the chasm of the mind. Observe, take notice. You don't always have to be right at the edge, teetering. You can give yourself a little bit of space. Observe the mind. Guard your alertness and your capacity. And that presence you bring yourself, Shantideva reminds us, clears the debris. It allows some of the confusion, like a silty pool. The silt will soon begin to settle, and you'll have clear, still water. Breathe and allow your presence to settle. Today, we're going to hear from Shantideva about something I call a determined decision. And this is a way of making a decision. You have a thought, I'd like to do this, but you add some energy to it. You add some strength to it, and even some humility. I call it to be determined. I am determined to do this. And in that space of determination, there are going to be temptations that pull me away from my determination, pull me away from my decision. And there are going to be moments of encouragement where I feel strengthened. That is the normal state. So, the thing about making a determined decision is to be clear in the mind. Is this a realistic decision? Here's an example for you. So I live on a farm, and there's a lot of land that I tend to, and I'm one person that's getting older and achier. So my capacity to tend to my land gets less and less the older I get. And so when I was younger, I was determined to work certain gardens, and I could spend 8 hours doing that. Now, honoring my body, I've had to change my decisions. I've had to change my determination to be realistic to what I actually can physically do. So while I may determine and make a decision to weed all of my gardens, I have to look at my capacity and be realistic. I don't have 8 hours to give, but I do have 1. And so I make a determined decision to garden and to weed, and that is my sole focus for 1 hour. And this is why the slogan in traditional recovery programs is of 1 day at a time is so very keen. We can each of us make a determined decision for today. I will not engage in negative habit energy. And if a day is too long, for this 1 hour, I have made a decision and I am determined to not engage in negative habit energy. And that hour is up, and I can look at the next hour and I can make a determined decision. That's how it goes. But in each moment, I have to look at my mind. So here's what Shantideva has to say about that. He writes, I should undertake what I intend and have decided to do without being distracted by other things. And with thoughts focused on that practice, for now, I should do just that. In this way, I shall do everything well. Otherwise, I shall accomplish neither one thing nor the other. With this skillful practice, there can be no increase in secondary delusions such as non-alertness, distraction. Whenever I listen to any sort of talk, whether pleasant or unpleasant, or observe attractive or unattractive people, I should prevent attachment and hatred toward them. If for no reason I begin to perform actions that cause damage to the environment, I should recall Buddha's advice and out of respect, stop straight away. Whenever I wish to move my body or to utter any words, I should first examine my mind and then steadfastly act in an appropriate way. Shantideva is reminding us that we have everything we need to stay the course of our wise actions, to put forth some effort, to concentrate away from the distractions, to stay focused on what we have decided and determined to do. I would like to add in this practice that as we are staying focused and determined, to also cultivate a spirit of encouragement and allow ourselves to be our own cheerleader, to bring forward that voice that's like, I got this, I can do this, I can keep going. While that kind of encouragement is helpful external to me, when I have people praise me and let me know that I'm doing okay and that I've done a good job, that's really beneficial and helpful. However, if I'm not in a place to receive it, it doesn't go anywhere. So I have to be willing to receive it. I have to be willing to take it in and then have it partner with my own energy, with my own positive reinforcement. I got this. Look at me go. I'm staying focused. I'm staying on task. I have determined to do this. And there's always in me a voice, another archetypal voice ready to sabotage my efforts. So my voice sounds like, well, yeah, sure, Julia, you determined to do this for an hour, but it's always a but. But, you got 8 hours to go. An hour's a drop in the bucket. Why are you celebrating just an hour? It's only an hour. That is the voice of my inflated, arrogant ego. And it is adolescent and immature. And as much as I want to get rid of it, I can't. It's a part of who I am. So I have to turn to that immaturity that lives within me, and I'll just say to it, thank you for your book report on all that I'm not getting done, and now you can sit down and be quiet because I'm going to take stock of this hour that I got this done. I'm amazing. I got this. I can do this for an hour, and in the next hour I'm going to do something, and the next hour I'm going to keep focused, and so on and so on. I bring this forward, friends, because in the realm of recovery, we have to navigate tumultuous waters of social stigma. There's always somebody ready to move the goalposts for our success. Oh, you got a month of sobriety? Yeah, let's hope it lasts. What a crummy thing to say to somebody. What a not encouraging thing to say. And so we have to practice letting those voices drop and just acknowledge, I am not going to allow that diminishment in to taint my success. I have a month of recovery. I have a day where I didn't engage in habit energy. That's amazing. I have 10 years. That's amazing. Wherever I am on the journey of recovery, wherever I am in relationship to changing my connection to habit energy, is a positive step. And we guard the vitality of that. We guard the wakefulness of that, despite all the teasing and taunts and attempts to diminish. And this is why it's so important to stay in the present moment. This is why it's so important to recognize disruptions are going to happen, and we're A-OK. Strong, solid, no harm done. Breathing in, I am determined. Breathing out, I can do what I decide. Breathing in, I determine to do nurturing things for myself. Breathing out, even when it gets hard. Breathing in, I can stand at the edge of my discomfort. Breathing out, I can be still, I can stay, I don't have to run. Breathing in this amazing moment. Breathing out, I'm here for it. So I'd like to bring my mom into the spirit of this practice today, our beloved Mimi. And I'm including all of you. She's my mom, but she's your mom too. And she's a Jedi now. She's on the other side and she's moving the force, all conspiring for our joy and irrepressible happiness. And so I would just like to bring you back into a noble posture. Turn a gaze inward. Allow yourself a moment to receive the goodness of this practice, the irrepressible goodness that is vying for your attention. And not only is it vying for your attention to notice goodness everywhere, but it's calling for your innate goodness to come forward, to shine brightly. We come into this practice to heal the ways that we've engaged in life that have been out of integrity, that have been confused and unskillful, maybe even unethical. And we have to have that awareness so that we can inform our actions toward the good, toward the light. And when we tap into it, it is a limitless supply, full of irrepressible surprise. May the goodness of this practice water your cheeks, water your minds, nurture your hearts, open your spirits to the courage to share. Thank you for your beautiful, beautiful practice. We'll see you next time. Namaste.